Welcome to this issue of Great Practice, Great Life. And today we have a fantastic guest, a wonderful friend, and a great thinker on what you need to do as a lawyer to really run a fantastic practice. And today I have my dear friend and partner, Glenn Finch. So Glenn, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for making time for us.
Thank you. It's great to be here, Steve.
Well, I appreciate it. I've been trying to get you on this podcast like for a month and a half. So I really appreciate, I had to sneak around the door to get you in. So I really appreciate you making time. But really the primary topic of today, and one due to the fact that you and I have been on the planet longer than some of our clients and customers, is can you protect your law firm from inflation? And we've seen extraordinary amounts of inflation. The past year has been pretty stunning. Wage inflation, cost of goods, gas has doubled. You're seeing some really extraordinary things with by themselves is one thing, but as a lawyer, why are you concerned? What's the bad news for lawyers about this? Like, why are you worried? And why are you trying to teach and share with lawyers how to protect their practice from this? What are your concerns for your clients and our clients, I should say?
Yeah. So when you pose the question, how do we protect practices from inflation? I want to say it's not so much protecting the practice from inflation as it is creating a more resilient practice in the face of inflation. As you just alluded to, Steve, inflation is a force in the economy, supply, demand, too many dollars into the economy, which really shrinks the value of the dollar. And this year, we've seen some extraordinary shifts that put the pressure on any business. And the law practice is no exception. So while inflation exists for consumers, whether they want it or not, the real question becomes, are you running your practice, or are you making shifts and changes in your law practice to make you resilient to the effects, the consequences? Most owners aren't phased. If the cash flow is good, Steve, you and I can afford it.
Yeah.
But our employees are feeling the effects of it. Consumers are feeling the effects, people who need your legal services. So inflation is one of those things similar to the pandemic. Once the pandemic came, we couldn't just ignore it. It was going to affect everybody. The same with inflation. It's going to affect everybody. So I always tell the law firms, ignore it, but do so at your own peril. There really are some strategies that we need to pay attention to be resilient and so that we can thrive even in the face of something like inflation.
So, you see this impact on different practices, but you've never had a bigger time, I think, or more important time to tighten the intake and only take A cases. So talk to me about your thinking of that.
Yeah. So what you're talking about, Steve, is what I call sharpening the mix of your client. And that is a key strategy right now for a lot of reasons. Consumers, clients out there are becoming more price sensitive. So to protect your practice, you really got to target what you might call the dream client, the A client, the client who can afford luxury services, because one of the things I didn't mention about employee satisfaction, I would say probably about 80% of Atticus firms did give a salary across the board increase to counter the inflation just on the paychecks. It's a wise investment. It communicated to their employees that they cared. They know this is tough. And that just boosted retention doing the care. Okay, so now your personnel margin and your costs have gone up. That's why we need clients on the A and B level sharpening mix to cover that cost. Also, in a time of inflation, prices are increasing everywhere, Steve. So it's natural for them to expect prices and cost fees of a law firm to go up. So this is a great time to be able to do that. But you're only going to be able to do that with those A clients, which means now your marketing strategies, so that you can taper down and not have too many clients that are too price sensitive, your marketing strategies have got to be focused on those clients who value your services. And I like the term you used of tapering the work, because that does bring balance. Now your employees are working with clients and customers who really value your services. And
Yeah.
they will pay the higher prices. You're not working more hours. You're not burning your team out. And that's sharpening the mix. I like to say it's not important. It's indispensable at a time like this, because that's how you balance and stay resilient with the forces out there that you can't change. We've said it all the time. People on their deathbed, they almost never say, wow, I should have spent more time at the office. I should have practiced 5 more years.
I should have built more. If I had only built more, if I only had
Exactly.
increased my billing by 20%.
What matters is their relationships. That's what they're thinking about. Now just pause. What if the most important thing in your law practice was not your building, was not the bottom line revenue, but it was the relationships, the long-term relationships you built with 20-year employees, the long-term relationships you built with the judges, those attorneys who became your biggest fans for decades, clients who just stumbled into your office at one point, experienced great service, and then became your raving fans. That's where time is spent. And that's what protects the spirit in the head, because when you look back on that, you remember those relationships when we first met, and you start thinking about how they've impacted your business over the years. That's priceless, as MasterCard used to say. That's not going to show up on paper, but it will show up on your calendar.
What you just did was very evil. What you did is just very, very evil. I just saw what you did. What you did was say, okay, to protect my head, go help other people. Yeah. Because they're having tough times. Go help other people. Don't so much sit there in your stew in your own juices of woe is me. What you did was flip that and say, go help other people. Go see how you can be, no sense of irony here, be of service to other people. And quit worrying about your issue. Go worry about, help them with their issue. You're a very evil man, Glenn Finch. I saw what you did there. Yeah. But that was brilliant. Totally brilliant.